Guys, here's chapter 10, part 10 of Sculpting Spider-Man. So, where we last left off, we were about to boolean out the web lines, right? Because what we're seeing here is just a preview. So, let us go and turn off live boolean, turn off the preview, turn off the colors for a second. And I'll just show you all the web lines again as positive shapes, right? So let's start with the torso. Let's start with all the web lines for the torso. Let me just remove, I have an extra hand and an extra left hand. I created these extra parts so I could work on the hand web lines separately, because they were so detailed and intricate that it was tough to see. So I wanted to zoom in, and that's the web lines, and there is the extra hand that I made just so I could work on these lines. But I don't need that extra hand anymore, so temporary right hand is going to be deleted, and temporary left hand, same thing over here, is going to be deleted. Okay, now where is my torso? There's my real torso, this one, which has the both hands attached. That spider is going to be hidden for a second. So there's my torso, my blank torso with no web lines, right? What I want to do is turn on the web lines for the hand, the left hand, the mask, and the torso cutters. So 1, 2, 3, 4 cutters. And you see the little half moon shape is highlighted. So that means those are going to cut. Right arm cutter, oh, there's another one. Right arm and left arm cutters. So that's all my web lines for my upper torso. And the only ones left are on the feet, so I'll do that separately. So anyway, there are my web lines, ready to be punched out. If I hit live boolean, it'll show you a preview of what it's going to look like. That's beautiful. I like it. And that's it. I just hit make boolean mesh, and it will give me a brand new torso with scribed in web lines. So let's do that. Let's hit make boolean mesh. Whoop, we're going to turn our colors back on, because you'll lose the color if you don't. If you do that boolean function without the color on, you'll lose the color. So let's do that. And we're going to wait until this little orange bar here runs right across the top. And that will give me my finished torso with the booleaned out scribe lines. Okay, let's just wait for this to run. It's taken a while because I increased the size to 9 million for the upper torso for some reason. I forgot why I did that. I think I was just trying to paint on some crisp mask, and I increased the resolution. So that's why it's taken so long, but it's moving along. And almost done. And then the only two pieces left are the left boot and the right boot. And I'll boolean that out from the legs. Oh, you know what else? The webs under his arm. I got to boolean those out so that when I print those parts, they kind of snap right in there. So I got a little bit more work to do before I add the key. It's just going to be 2 parts, the upper torso and the legs. Okay, so that's done. Now I want to go append the new one. It's the last one right here. And if I just select that one, that's it. There we go. And I have all my lines cut in. You know what I want to do? I want to make those web lines one polygroup. So let me isolate that. That's the blue part of the costume. Isolate the red part of the costume. Isolate the eyes. Let's see. Those lines are black on the eyes. Let's separate them. Let's separate them anyway. Okay, now I've got all my web lines isolated. So I'm just going to do group visible. They're all the same color. Oh, rats, I forgot to. Let's go back one. There. Let me just get rid of that. Okay. Okay, there's my web lines. Now I'll do group visible. So everything is the same color, all the web lines. Now let's see. Let's remove the blue and the red and the white. What's going on here? Got a couple of stray colors here. Just trying to organize my colors so it's easy to paint. All right, these inner eyes lines, that should be all one color because it's black. Whoops. Oh, I see what happened. Okay, let me auto groups again. Auto groups. Oh, they're touching, that's why. Okay, that's okay. Let's just isolate these two. Group visible. I guess I can make those black as well. Bear with me. I'm just playing with some colors here, just to make it easy on myself when I paint it. If I lose the paint for some reason, if I Z-remesh or something and I lose the paint, I just want to make all the polygroups easy to paint again. I don't want to be painting all of these individual web lines, you know. But since they're touching, if they're all touching, they're all going to merge together anyway. So, yeah, that looks good. I think I've got everything organized. So there's my new torso. I'm going to save my work. Spidey 107. 107 files I've got for this sculpture, which is good because if I want to change something, I can, and I need to go back and find individual pieces, I have them. All right, so there is my torso. I don't know why this is two colors. Let's organize that a little bit. That and that should be one color. Group visible. There we go. Okay. Now let's do the legs. Let me delete. Actually, I'm not going to delete my parts. I'm going to save them in a different folder. So I'm going to take this torso. I'm going to rename it Solid Torso. I think I already have a solid torso without the colors and stuff, but I'm going to save it as Solid Torso and put it in my solid parts folder, just in case. Solid parts. See that? I dropped it down in there. I think I already have a solid torso. Here's another solid torso. Oh, that one has no head, and I have the head separately. It's good to save your parts. I mean, I saved all the iterations, so I can always go back and find them, but I want to keep them as long as I can without my point count creeping up too high. But let's do the legs now. Let's select that. Legs and left boot cutters and right boot cutters. Turn solo off. All right, so there they are. If I turn Boolean off, you can see them as raised bumps, raised scribe lines or tubes. All right, so let's turn our color back on and hit live Boolean, and then hit make Boolean mesh. Left boot, right boot. Wait a minute, why am I still seeing? Oh, live Boolean was not on. There we go. Okay, now I'm just going to hit make Boolean mesh, and we'll get a new set of legs with the boot lines cut in. Oh, you see that right there? You see that right there? I missed a spot. So I'm going to ignore this Boolean function, and I'm going to zoom in and fix that. Before I do this again. You see that? I missed that one little web. So it should be right there. I'm going to grab my Move Topological brush and just pull that web out. There we go. Okay. Now let's try it again. Make Boolean mesh. And this is only 1,000,008, so it's running much quicker. It's running across much quicker. Okay. Very good. Let's save our legs. Let's rename that Solid Legs and drop it down into our solid folder. Let me see. I know I have, yeah, I do have solid legs already. Let me see what the difference is between these two parts. There's my solid legs, and there's my previous solid legs. They're not colored, and they don't have this scribe line in yet. So I think I'll save both. Looks like the sculpt changed a little bit as well. Yeah, got a little bit more muscle definition in these. But do I need both? I don't think I need both, but I'll save them anyway. So anyway, let's append our new legs. Append the last one. And there are my Boolean legs. Very good. And let's try to organize these web lines. Just make them all black. So I'll select that, oops. Come on. Autosave is a lifesaver. It's a pain in the neck at times like this when it just stops you right when you're in the middle of something, but it is a lifesaver. All right, we'll isolate this whole, all that boot is good. Now let's grab the other boot. And oh my gosh, it looks like these are auto grouped. Oh yeah, no, this is not the way to do this. I'm just gonna isolate the green and the red. That, and that. Now I will do group visible. Okay, group visible. Now everything's the same color. Right? Okay. Now, there's my legs, and there are my legs, and there is my torso. Beautiful. All right, now let's put, we got a folder for solid parts, a folder for base parts. Now let's create a folder for the cutters, the web lines. So let's do new folder, and we'll call it web lines. Web line cutters. And we're going to hide that whole folder, so let's just turn them back to solid parts. We don't need the Boolean function anymore. And let's get the boot cutters in there as well. Right, boot cutter. Okay, so there you go. Now we'll hide that folder is hidden. The base is hidden, and the solid parts are hidden, and the reference is hidden. Now rename this torso. Rename this legs. And let's bring those up. Whoops, where am I? There we go. Bring those up to the top. So basically, for the figure, we're going to have torso, we're going to have legs, and we're going to have the two underarm webs. So the figure itself is going to be 4 parts. So right now, I got to merge the spiders onto the torso. So let's get the back spider up there and the front spider up there, and turn on just the 3 parts we want to merge. Back spider, front spider, and torso. Okay. There's the front spider. Whoops. There's the back spider, and there's our torso. Now let's merge these together. Let me just check out that front spider for a second. I cleaned up the back spider off camera, and what I did was I made polygroups for everywhere there was a sharp break, and I Z-remeshed it. So I got nice topology. Now this is kind of thin. Usually I'll make things like this thicker when you have like a patch, like a logo, like Superman's S or something. Usually I'll just make it a scribe line, but in this case I made it a patch that goes on his back. Now usually you want to make that much thicker so it goes into his back and you don't have any problems with a gap between its back and the spider, because that'll give you problems when you print. So just to check that, I turned on the Boolean function, and you can see that the whole spider is pushing into the back. There's no gap there. I don't know what that little floating thing is right there. But the spider, there's no big gap that's going to interfere with our printing. So that's a way to check that. So that's safe to Boolean. But let me check this front spider out. That looks a little shaggy to me. You see the lines around the legs? That just looks a little bit sloppy. So I am going to fix that before I merge it down. Now that's nice and thick, so that's going to go right into the chest, and I don't have to worry about a gap. But still, I think I want to clean this up, and let me show you how I did that. I eliminated the front, I eliminated the back, whoops, and right here, everywhere that there's a break in between the legs, I want to keep that. I want to keep that nice crisp break. So I don't want to Z-remesh yet until I change these polygroups, isolate these polygroups. So what I do is I just go around. Let me get a circular brush. And I'm just going to go around and eliminate those middle areas of the spider's body, that are not touching, that are touching the leg, you know, where the body meets the leg. You'll see in a second what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get the legs separate. Here we go. Here's another one. All right, let's move it up. And in between, oh, that one just meets the body. Let's separate the whole body then. Okay, let's get rid of this part. What's that? Okay, a little bit more. All right, and it's tough to see. You know what makes it make it easier? If I turn on double on display properties, turn on double, it'll make it a little bit easier to see. There we go. There we go. And you'll see, I've got one more leg to do. You'll see why I'm doing this in a second when I make the polygroups, because you can polish by colors, by groups. So I want to have these legs as a separate polygroup. If I just left this all purple, all one color, it will get soft, and the legs and the head and the spider body will all kind of get really soft, and I want to keep that crispiness there. All right, I think that's okay. Let me just zoom in right here. I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah, I think that's body. I think that's spider body and not leg. So I'm going to take that off. Okay, very good. Close enough. Now I'm going to group visible. Okay, all the legs are yellow. The body is purple. The front and the back are green and blue, respectively. And the legs are yellow. Okay. Now, I'll turn off double. And now I can do crease polygroups, keep groups, and then Z-remesh. And I'm going to get rid of all this nasty, shaggy, lumpy geometry. Right? So let's hit Z-remesher. See, the spider is 436 points. So this should knock it way down. And I'll divide it again up a little bit. But then I can use the slider in the deformation palette. I can use the smooth by groups. And it will make this nice and clean and smooth. All right, see that? I kept my groups. Looks like it changed some groups, changed the legs to individual groups, but that's okay as long as they're separate, as long as they're different groups. So now, crease polygroups, divide, divide, and you can see it's already smooth. Divide. And now I'm just going to run that slider once, polish by groups. And it will be really nice and clean. Do it a couple of times. There we go. You see how nice and crisp it is now? Okay. Yeah, that'll work. Now I can do my Boolean function. I just want to make that spider black again because when you Z-remesh, you lose your color. Let me just pull that leg. That one leg is kind of sticking into his body too much. So let's pull that out. Just checking, just double checking, making sure the depth is enough. Looks good. Looks good to me. Make it black. Material and RGB. Color, fill object. Okay. You see how we've got like these tangents right here where the spider legs are touching the web lines and kind of disappearing in the web lines? I'm going to cheat a little bit and I'm going to pull them away from the web line so that we don't have that nasty tangent. And I'm also going to try to adjust the spider's body to make it a little bit more round. It's kind of warpy. It's one of those things that, you know, you can get away with it in two dimensions, but I just want to make it nice in 3D. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and just slightly deviate from the artwork so I can see the spider more clearly in the sculpture. Okay. Okay. Whoops. All right. Now, let's turn our color back on. Now you should be able to see the spider more clearly in a black silhouette. right? Because those legs were kind of hitting the web lines and you weren't really able to, it was kind of blending in there. And that's an important part, you know, his logo on his chest is pretty important. So we're finally ready now. Let's boolean mesh these three parts together. Right? Torso, back spider, front spider. That's all that's on. I'm going to make sure nothing else is on. Right? I'm looking at these eyeballs on the right side. Nothing is on except those three parts. And select the torso and hit make boolean mesh, and that will give me my final torso. Almost final. Still got to punch out the wings, the web wings, and I still have to add a key to the torso so it can plug into the legs. Once again, this is now it's 10 million, so this is going to creep across. It's going to take about a minute. But I'm getting closer, getting closer. So let's see, what is this, part 10? I think we're going to wrap up part 10, and I'll come back in part 11. Well, let me do the wings. Let's do the wings, because it's the same process. And then in part 11, I will punch out the support rods. That's going to involve some math and some measuring. And we'll finish up the base in part 11, and that's it. Then the next part 12 will probably be cutting it up, not cutting it up, using the slicing software, the 3D printing software instead of ZBrush. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. Okay, almost done. Come on, a little bit more. There we go. So there's my torso. Append, torso, back spider, front spider. I'm going to delete this torso, right? Because no, let's save all our parts to the very end. Let's call this one scribed. Oops, torso, and put him down. Actually, let's make another folder. Let's make a folder. Let's call these final parts. Back spider, put that in there. Front spider, put that in there. The legs, we're not done with yet. Append the torso. I'm getting a little crazy with these folders. I should probably eliminate these folders at some point. I don't think I'm going to be going back and looking for these parts. So there's my torso, and there's my legs. Final part. See, I don't need all these parts, but I'm getting a little crazy saving all this stuff because I have it. I have them in previous iterations, previous incarnations. So I really don't need all this junk, and it's just making my file larger and larger. So maybe I should eliminate those. I'm going to eliminate those for the next video. But let's just finish up here. We got the left arm wing and the right arm wing. Let's call them wings. Let's hide the legs. We're not going to be using the legs. Now, if you look closely at these wings, you'll see what I did was I kind of threw a tube around them. So it's like a net almost. And that tube serves two purposes. It's kind of corralling all the inner webs, and also giving it some stability. And it's also going to act as the cutter. This line, this big thick line, is going to punch out of the torso. So I'm going to have to put the torso above these things. When you boolean something, the cutters have to be below the subtool that's going to get cut, that you're going to punch it out of. So as soon as this finishes saving, I will turn on my boolean function, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Come on. There we go. So I turn on take off solo. I turn on live boolean for the left wing and the right wing. And you see that? It's leaving a channel in the under his arm and under his lat. And the same thing with the other arm. It's leaving a channel under there. Now hopefully, if things go according to plan, those parts are going to snap right in there. This one's got 3 sides. So this one's a little bit more tricky to get in there, but hopefully they'll be so thin and so flimsy that I can kind of bend them and pop them in there. Maybe I'll have to heat them with a hairdryer at first, but I think it's going to be okay. But let me just check something. I want to zoom in here. It looks like I've got some stray webs hanging out there. So let's check that out. Right wing. Let's see though. Yeah, it looks like I've got some stray little webs sticking out there. I just want to push those back in, the green ones. Let's grab my move topological and just pull those in like so. Just to make it nice and neat. Now before I boolean these out, I probably should dynamesh this stuff together. So it's all one solid piece. So let's see, how about, instead of dynameshing, how about we make boolean mesh? Okay, so let's split these parts. Do I want to split all of these parts? That's going to be a lot of pieces to boolean together. Let's see. What's the best way to do this? I'm just going to split off the net part. Split hidden. So I've got now 4 pieces that need to be boolean together. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. But actually, the net part, if I hit auto groups, every one of these lines is a separate part. So I'm not so sure. I think I'm going to end up having to dynamesh anyway. Yeah. Plus, some of them are don't look like they're touching each other. Maybe. I'm looking right here, see if they're touching one another, because you kind of want that for stability and for strength. I don't want any strings, you know, when I print it, individual strings. But it looks pretty good. I think I went over this once and I checked. Oh yeah, we've got some strays in there. So rather than bore you guys again, I probably should go off camera and make sure all of these lines are crisscrossing and touching. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Boolean the big ones out from the chest. I suppose I can do that right now on camera. So I'll just take the big lines and Boolean those out. And I'll do the other stuff, the housekeeping stuff, on my own time. So these two big lines, you can see them, are going to be cut out of the torso. And I try to follow that web line right down there. I don't know if you can see that. But hopefully it's going to leave a channel that's going to allow me to pop that right in there. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do torso, make Boolean mesh. And that'll be it for this chapter, chapter 10. And I'll come back in chapter 11 with the keys, the torso key, and the leg keys, the support rod keys. And then we'll put some writing under the base. We'll give Steve Ditko his credit underneath the base. And that'll be it. That'll be it for the ZBrush part of this project. So thank you all for coming along for the ride. Well, I'll see you in the next episode, in the next chapter. We got another chapter to go, but thank you again for looking and for the likes and the questions and the subscribing. And head over to Facebook if you want to see more of my work. It's called Tony Cipriano Sculpture is the page. All right, guys, thank you again, and I will talk to you later.